$50 million Global Women Empowerment Fund. Eagle News, Washington, D.C. We'll be right back.
What we call Eaglenews.PH, one of the most famous landmarks here in Stavanger, Norway. And if you want to see more of the tourist spots like this, just tune into Digital Nest every Tuesday and Thursday, 7:30 p.m. I'm managing Mihia from Stavanger, Norway. Always fun with 25.
Linggo, alas 4 hanggang alas 5 ng hapon.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Under heavy snow and freezing temperatures, U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar announces bid for 2020 presidential race, adding her name to a long list of Democratic candidates.
I stand before you as the granddaughter of an iron ore miner, as the daughter of a teacher and a newspaperman, as the first woman elected to the United States Senate from the state of Minnesota, to announce my candidacy for President of the United States. We need to train our workers today for the jobs of tomorrow and strengthen our economy by planning ahead. I am running for this job for every person who wants their work recognized and rewarded. I am running for every parent who wants a better world for their kids.
Klobuchar, who was easily re-elected to a third Senate term in November, has never lost an election, boosted by an unpretentious demeanor and her roots in a region that prides itself on grassroots honesty and an ethic of hard work. At odds with that image, her own work ethic has emerged as a focus of criticism in recent days. Several former aides have been quoted saying she is difficult to work for, with bouts of explosive rage, leading to exceptionally high staff turnover. Her defenders say she is simply someone who demands excellence, and that the allegations against her would not be made against a man. Minnesota Republicans, with a poor record against Klobuchar, have tried nonetheless to blunt her announcement, portraying her as overly cautious and perhaps not up to a nationwide challenge. Jennifer Carnahan, chair of the state's Republican Party, told the Star Tribune newspaper, quote, "Minnesota Nice is not going to work on a national stage," unquote. While many of the high-profile Democrats in the race are in the progressive lane, Liberal Senator Elizabeth Warren formally declared her candidacy on Saturday. Klobuchar has quietly gained attention in Washington as a centrist. She is known for putting partisanship aside to pass legislation, something that has earned her a devoted following in Minnesota, and something American voters regularly tell pollsters they want. She said on ABC's The View late last year, quote, if you just go in the opposite corner of the boxing ring, you will never get anything done. Courage is whether you're willing to stand next to someone you don't always agree with for the betterment of this country." Unquote. In a historically diverse Democratic field, Klobuchar is the fifth woman, including 4 in the Senate, to seek the nomination. Senators Kamala Harris of California, Kirsten Gillibrand of New York, and Warren of Massachusetts have all thrown their hat in the race, as has Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii. A number of male senators are either running, Cory Booker of New Jersey, or considering a run, Bernie Sanders of Vermont, Sherrod Brown of Ohio, and Jeff Merkley of Oregon. Former Vice President Joe Biden is known to be weighing a candidacy, and former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke has said he is willing to announce his plans next month. Klobuchar, the daughter of a journalist and a teacher, and the granddaughter of a Minnesota iron miner, has a reputation as a fierce defender of the rights of the working and middle classes, consumers, and women. Her profile rose last year when she won plaudits for her cool-headed questioning of Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh in a hearing focusing on allegations of sexual abuse and drinking. Many at the hearing were taken aback when Kavanaugh, asked by Klobuchar whether he had ever blacked out, said, "I don't know. Have you?" After a brief back and forth, she brought the awkward exchange to a close, saying simply, "I have no drinking problem, Judge." He later apologized to her.
Emma Coronel Aispuro, the wife of El Chapo, arrives at Brooklyn Federal Court in New York as the jury enters its 5th day of deliberations in the trial of the Mexican drug lord.
Accused of smuggling tons of cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and marijuana into the United States over a 25-year period, 61-year-old Joaquin El Chapo Guzman faces possible life in prison if found guilty of the 10 felony charges against him. Aside from drug trafficking, they include money laundering and illegal weapons possession charges. The trial unfolded like a real-life telenovela, with Guzman's former beauty queen wife in the audience and a parade of her husband's lovers and henchmen taking the witness stand under the gaze of the one-time Sinaloan cartel chief.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Presley, and Ian Omar hold a news conference calling on Congress to cut funding for President Trump's deportation task force, ICE, as well as the protection of migrants. Representative Ocasio-Cortez calling immigration one of the most urgent moral issues and crises in America.
This is one of the most urgent moral issues and crises that we have in America right now. Not only will we not agree to fund that, but we're here to say that an agency like ICE, which repeatedly and systematically violates human rights, does not deserve a dime.
This administration and this president are truly morally corrupt. Yes. They don't see people, they see dollars.
We have an immigration process that has been broken for 3 decades. Instead of trying to campaign on walls and things that are not going to bring this country together, we should be campaigning on how to fix our immigration system that brings people together. Time and again, this administration has put profits before people and rhetoric before the lives of immigrant children. That's right. It is clear that we must reduce and not increase funds to DHS.
President Donald Trump has indicated he could declare a national emergency in order to force the construction of hundreds of miles of border walls to prevent migrants from crossing into the United States illegally from Mexico. Trump is frustrated by the continuing high level of migrants, mostly from Central America, crossing the border and seeking asylum, with more than 50,000 a month detained during the final 3 months of 2018. Congress has refused to allocate the $5.7 billion he wants for the wall, but there remains deep questions over whether he has the prerogatives to take the emergency route. The National Emergencies Act allows the President to declare a national emergency, providing a specific reason for it. That then allows the mobilization of hundreds of dormant emergency powers under other laws. Those can permit the White House to declare martial law, suspend civil liberties, expand the military, seize property, and restrict trade, communications, and financial transactions. Every recent president has used the NEA, and more than 24 states of emergencies are currently active, renewed annually.
U.S. President Donald Trump signs a memorandum establishing the Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative and announces that $50 million has been allocated to the project. His daughter and presidential advisor, Ivanka Trump, says the initiative will hit 50 million women by 2025.
In just a few moments, I will sign the National Security Presidential Memorandum to establish the Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative, also known as the WGDP. It's a good name. I've directed the USAID to allocate an initial $50 million for a new WGDP fund, which will implement our strategy of making smarter, metrics-based investments that catalyze private sector dollars.
This is the first U.S. government, all of government, approach to empowering women in the developing world, and we're incredibly excited. We will hit 50 million women by 2025 through one of three pillars.
When we come back, a Las Vegas community engages in disaster preparedness and undergoes CERT training. Eagle News, Washington, D.C. will return shortly.
I am here at Gastown, which is a National Historic Site in Vancouver, British Columbia. Located in Vancouver's oldest neighborhood is the steam-powered clock, which is Gastown's most famous landmark. Make sure to tune in to Digital Nest every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I am Lou Aquino, EBC correspondent, and I am one with 25.
Eagle News teams are fair.
Sa impeachment complaint laban kay Supreme Court Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno, ang ilang maestrado.
Ang rekomendasyon na makasuhan ang mga sangkot kasama na ang mga opisyal ng customs.
Hardworking.
Papaunlad ng isang bata